Hello fellow writers! In this video I'm going to talk about querying, which is the really juicy stuff. Getting an agent to represent me was probably the most exciting part of my entire journey so far. That was really the moment when I moved from having been somebody who just wrote for fun on my own my entire life. It was a hobby. And then I moved into a place where all of a sudden I was a professional writer who people wanted to read. My literary agent helped me revise my manuscript, sell it, negotiate a higher advance, negotiate better royalty rates, helped me keep more rights in my pocket rather than including them in the sale to the publisher, and is now helping me sell my book for foreign rights and for film rights. So she's doing so much. I really don't think I could do anything in this business without my agent. In this video, I'll talk about the process of getting an agent. What are the fundamentals of querying? And what are the online resources that you can use to help you in that process? And then in my next video, I'll talk all about my experience of querying, how many agents I queried, how long it took me, all the nitty-gritty of what the experience was like for me. So, how do you get a literary agent? You're gonna need 4 basic things. 1, a really strong query letter. 2, a target list of agents who you want to query and who you have researched, which I'll get into in this vid. 3, of course, a completed and polished manuscript, plus you'll want a 1 to 2 page synopsis. And then you're going to need a lot of patience, so much patience. I cannot express to you enough how important it's going to be patient with yourself as you are querying and in the process of querying. Yes, you hear crazy stories about somebody who got an agent in 2 weeks or whatever. Put it out of your head. It's not real. It doesn't happen. It's going to take time to get your agent, so please be prepared to be patient. So the first thing you're going to create is your query letter. Query letters are pretty hard. They've got to be between 200 to 300 words. They've got to get across the point of your story, get across some of your character's personality, get across the stakes. So there's a lot that you want to get done in a very short amount of time. Do your research into what a query letter is supposed to look like. The very first place you want to go is QueryShark. This is a blog that's run by literary agent Janet Reed, and she is really the authority on query letters as far as I'm concerned and as far as a lot of people are concerned. QueryShark has hundreds of query letters that writers submit to Janet Reed, and she helps them revise. So you can see multiple drafts of the same query letter. You can see her comments at each stage of the query explaining why she thinks certain changes need to be made, and you can see it as it progresses and gets stronger and stronger. I also recommend the subreddit PubTips on Reddit. This is a subreddit where you can, and really anybody can go there, post their query letter, and you'll get great feedback from authors who are experienced with query letters, who have gotten agents themselves. There's also a couple of literary agent staff who hang around at that subreddit. So also check out PubTips. They also have a stickied thread that has a couple dozen at least successful query letters. The last thing you're gonna do in drafting your query letter is to personalize it for each agent you send it to. This is unbelievably annoying, and it kind of drives me crazy that authors have to do this, but you do. The vast majority of agents say that they want a little bit of personalization in their query letter. They want you to say, I am sending you this query letter, or I think you will be interested in this novel because you represented this other novel that's kind of similar. Now, one thing I will say is that Janet Reed at QueryShark is actually against this herself. She does not want personalization in her query letters, and you'll see her say that again and again when you're reading through the archive. On this one point, Janet Reed is an outlier. Most agents that I have read in articles, interviews, seen on vlogs, the vast majority of them are saying they want to have some personalization in their query letter. So you should do that for them just to improve your chances that they're going to pay attention to you. So it took me about 30 minutes on average per query letter to personalize it, fine-tune it, and get it sent. Once you have your query letter finalized and polished, you need to develop your target list of agents, which will take some research. You're going to have to research all of the agents that are representing your genre and create a list of ones who you think will be interested in seeing your manuscript. I recommend using a Google spreadsheet or an Excel document to track all of your queries. I will link to it, the tracker, the template that I use below, so you can copy it and use it if you want. While you're developing your target list, there are going to be a few online resources that you can rely on. Number one is QueryTracker. This is the gold standard of information. It's basically an index of every literary agent, at least in the United States. They also, I think, in the just English-speaking world, but I won't swear to that. Definitely in the US, it indexes pretty much every literary agent out there. You can look up which agents are representing your genre, whether that agent is open or closed to submissions. And also, what's so valuable is that QueryTracker will tell you the average response time of each agent. Do they generally turn around queries in 3 days, as some agents do, or 3 months, as many other agents do? It will also tell you the average acceptance rate for that agent, how many queries they're getting, and how many times they're requesting manuscripts, and how many times they are signing a client. You should also look at Manuscript WishList. MSWL is a great resource. It does unfortunately have way fewer agents than QueryTracker, so you're not going to get everybody or even most agents by looking at Manuscript WishList, but it's much more specific. So in Manuscript WishLists, agents will tell you exactly the kinds of stories they're looking for. So you can go there, and in my case, I looked for every young adult agent who was interested in fairy tale retelling since I wrote an Anastasia retelling, or every agent who was interested in Russia or Russian history or folklore, so things like that. You can get very specific. Now, one caveat in my opinion is that agents don't always know what they're looking for. I mean, who does, right? So, I have so many friends who have written manuscripts that perfectly match the ridiculously specific type of story that an agent has expressed interest in on their manuscript wish list. And then the agent doesn't even request pages, even though the book is well written and the query is well written. Also, obviously, agents sign clients even when what they've written has nothing to do with what's on that agent's manuscript wish list. That happens all the time. Agents sign novelists because they fall in love with their book and they think they can sell it. It's a subjective business, so don't put too much stock, at least this is in my opinion, don't put too much stock in what's on manuscript wish list. What you can really rely on is when an agent says they don't want something. So if an agent says they do not want post-apocalyptic stories or they do not want vampire stories, listen to them. You're not going to change their mind. Follow what they say and don't waste your time or theirs. The last resource for developing your target list is Publishers Marketplace. Publishers Marketplace lists just about every sale that literary agents are making. You can subscribe to Publishers Marketplace and find out how often is that agent selling? Do they have a strong sales history? Are they selling in your genre and category? Are they selling to big 5 publishers if that's what you're looking for? Are they selling to more than one publishing house, or do they just have a relationship with one editor at one house, which is not what you want, right? One really important note about Publishers Marketplace: it's not free. It's not close to free. It is hella expensive. Publishers Marketplace, from an author's perspective, is really expensive. It is an industry site, so it is priced for a literary agency or a book publisher to pay for, so it's really not affordable for your average querying author. However, they do have an option where you can subscribe and pay $25 per month. Do what I did, which is sign up, get a 1-month subscription for $25. During that 1 month, vet your entire target list of like 100 agents or however many you have on your list. Spend that month researching all of those agents' sales histories and then taking notes on them so you don't need to continue your subscription. You can get all of the information and then cancel your subscription. This is the one single expense that I think is worthwhile for a serious querying author. It is not worth it, and it is a dangerous game to play, to spend money on conferences and workshops and online courses and all of these things. People who have not seen $1 in writing income can shell out thousands of dollars on trying to build their own career, and all of it is unnecessary, completely unnecessary. You don't need to spend anything. The one exception I make is that I think a 1-month $25 subscription to Publishers Marketplace is probably worth it for you in building a stronger target list. One quick note about this, an agent's sales history on Publishers Marketplace isn't going to tell you everything you need to know about them, and stronger sales doesn't necessarily mean a stronger agent, believe it or not. Even if an agent is selling really actively, that doesn't mean they're going to be the right agent for you. Keep in mind, an agent is a business partner, somebody you are going to be working with for many years to come, hopefully. So there's lots of other things you want to consider about an agent that aren't going to be captured in their sales record. So for example, do they have a good reputation? Do you have other friends in the writing community who have experience with this agent? What do they think of that agent? Does that agent have a reputation for taking a really long time to turn around manuscripts for their own clients, right? Do they have a reputation for dumping clients if their book doesn't sell fast enough? That's horrible, right? You want an agent who is going to commit to you, who is interested in investing in you and your career as a writer. So some of the fastest selling agents may not necessarily be somebody who's going to be the most invested in you as an author. And then there's the question of a brand new agent, or an agent who's only been doing this work for a year or maybe 2 years, and maybe they only have a few sales, or no sales even if they're really new. On the one hand, agenting is a really hard business, and there are a lot of people who after 2-3 years, they just can't make enough money because it's a hard business to make a living off of. So they can't make enough money and they move on to something else. So that does happen, something to consider with newer agents. On the other hand, newer agents, you've probably heard this, they're hungry. They're looking to build their portfolio of clients, and they are looking to make those big sales. Newer agents will have fewer clients, so they will have more time to devote to you and your career, which is great. When you're looking at a newer agent, number one, are they working for a reputable agency? You want to make sure that if you're considering a new agent, they are working for more experienced agents who have lots of connections themselves that maybe they can share with that newer agent, who can mentor them in really the experience of becoming a full-time literary agent. So definitely look at who they're working for and the sales record of the people they're working with, because that is important. My final word on things to keep in mind while querying is that having a dream agent, that's not a thing. Don't invest your emotional energy in any particular agent. Because the truth is, you don't know these people. You don't know if this dream agent whose tweets you happen to love is actually an asshole. You don't know what any given agent is like to work with until you're either working with them or until you ask around with other friends who have experience with that agent. The idea of a dream agent is kind of silly. What you should do for yourself and your career is cast as wide a net as possible. Query lots of agents. Janet Reed of QueryShark says, don't give up on a book until you have queried 100 agents. And I think that's right. That's certainly the number that I had in mind when I was querying. Really cast a wide net, query lots of people. This work is so subjective. The odds are against you. Query as many people as you can, and then once you start getting interest from agents, that's when you can vet them and you can start actually having conversations with them over the phone if they're interested in representing you. And that's when you can sort of suss out who's going to be the best fit for you. Well, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about my own personal experience in querying, including how many people I queried and how long it took me and all of that juicy stuff. So I will see you in the next video.